Hey, what's going on, guys? Mcskillet here with another CSGO video, and today I'm going to be doing a video on skins that never look factory new, and obviously not including skins that can't be factory new in the first place, but this is going to be on skins that can be factory new, but when they are in the factory new condition, even with the best float possible for the skins, they still do not look factory new, and some of these still have quite a few scratches. And there are some items in the game like the MP7 Wideout, MP9 Bulldozer. A lot of the rare factory new skins, they actually have float minimums on them, which prevent them from being the lowest float, but I'm only going to be showing one of those in this video. The other skins can actually have as low as a float as possible, so they can have like 0.00000 floats, and they still have scratches even with the lowest float possible. But here's an MP7 Wideout. This is an example of a skin that's capped at 0.06. So it's basically the bottom line for factory new, even for the best factory new possible. So if a skin has a 0.06 float minimum, a lot of the times it will never look factory new, even when it is factory new, because it'll still have some scratches. And there's quite a few skins like that. You can check on CSGO Stash to see the float ranges if you're trying to see if a skin has a float value minimum, like the one right here. So I would actually recommend watching this video in full screen because it isn't too easy to see all the scratches. For some of them it actually is pretty easy though, like on this P2000 Imperial. This is the lowest float StatTrak skin in the game. It just happens to be on this skin, and it still has a ton of scratches even though it's super low float. I think it's got like at least 5 zeros in it, and all the P2000 Imperials, even the best factory new ones, will still have all these little scratches on them. There's a couple other P2000 skins like that, but I think the P2000 Imperial probably shows it the worst. So there's a little bit of a disappointment that you can't get the skin to look all nice and clean. Not sure how they made it like that, but that's the first and one of the most major examples of this. So the next example is on the FAMAS Pulse. Now this is the lowest float factory new one right here, and it does look pretty clean, I would say, but even with the lowest float one known to exist, you still got scratches in the front. You got a small scratch kind of near the mag, and you just still have a bunch of scratches on the skin, even in the absolute best condition and the best float. And pretty much any of the kind of worst factory new ones will still have a ton of scratches on it, which kind of sucks about this skin. Now the next example is on the Desert Eagle Blaze. Now when you're inspecting it, it's actually not as easy to notice it, but even when you're inspecting it, there are some spots where there's still some kind of noticeable scratches, and this is the lowest float Desert Eagle Blaze ever to drop. I think it has at least 4 zeros in it, so super low float, and you might not be able to notice it too well from this video, but I've owned this skin, the #1 lowest float Desert Eagle Blaze, and some of that actually got duplicated, by the way. Apparently someone got scanned or like hacked a while ago, so now there's 2 #1 Desert Eagle Blazes with the same float, which kind of screws up the price for that. But either way, even with an insanely low float like this, there's still a bunch of scratches in the back, kind of like tears on it, and then there's a pretty decent scratch on the top of it. It may not look too big in this screenshot, but if you use this in game a lot, it just kind of gets irritating after a while, because you know this is such an insanely low float skin, and there's still kind of a decent scratch on the top of it, and then there's scratches on the back of it as well, which kind of sucks about the Desert Eagle Blaze. You cannot get a perfect one, it seems like. But another skin that just never seems to be flawless is the USP-S Orion, and there's definitely some other USP-Ss like this, like the USP-S Cayman, but I think the Orion is where it's most noticeable. Here's one of the top USP-S Orions in the world, and there still is kind of a decent sized scratch on the top of it, and it's kind of random on the USP-S Orion. Sometimes you'll get the scratches in spots that you will never see when you're holding it in game, and you can have a super clean top without even that super low of a float. And those can still sell for a lot. Like I've seen people sell the 0.01s for still a ton if it has a clean top. But the top is definitely the part that matters the most. Sometimes you can get some other parts really scratched up, and even the ones with a clean top still seem to have some other spots, like by the silencer where it's scratched. So that just kind of sucks. You can never seem to get a perfect USP-S Orion. Now the final example is actually something that it kind of annoys me. This is for the M4A4 Poseidon, and it's also the exact same way on the M4A4 HAL. I don't know why Valve did this, but I noticed they've actually kind of defaulted the M4A4 Poseidon and the M4A4 HAL. So no matter how low of a float it is, it still has parts of the skin that's kind of torn. And here's a little display right here. This is a factory new M4A4 Evil Daimyo and an M4A4 Poseidon side by side. As you can see, there's definitely some scratches on the M4A4 Poseidon no matter how low the float is, and it just, part of the magazine is just torn. I don't know why they made it like that. And then there's also the little dent kind of near the back of it. I'll try to circle it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But the weird thing is, it almost looks exactly like a field-tested M4A4 Evil Daimyo. So basically, they made it so the best condition possible on a lot of these M4A4s, like, or I think it's mainly the Poseidon and the HAL, basically look like the field-tested version of other M4A4s, which I think is kind of stupid. I don't know why they made it like that. And I wish you could get a completely flawless Poseidon and HAL, but it looks like there's still going to be that little scratch, those little tear marks on it, no matter how good the float is. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm Mcskillet, and I'm out.